My brothers and sisters, listen to me very carefully. There is a reason you are here tonight. There is a reason you were born into that family. There is a reason you carry that burden no one else seems to understand. And there is a reason heaven has allowed you to walk through what you have walked through. The message before us is this: why God chose you in your family, a calling few understand. Look at yourself. Out of all the children in your household, why you? Out of all the personalities, why is it you who feels different? Why is it you who thinks differently, who dreams differently, who cries differently, who questions differently? Why is it you who cannot rest when there is injustice? Why is it you who cannot laugh when there is pain? Why is it you who feels the weight of everyone's problems? You think it is a coincidence. No, nothing about your life is accidental. Many people are born into families, but not everyone is planted. Some are born to exist, others are planted to transform. You are planted. You see, when God wants to change a bloodline, He does not start with the strongest. He starts with the willing. When God wanted to preserve a generation, He chose Joseph in the house of Jacob. When He wanted to deliver a nation, He chose Moses in a complicated family. When He wanted to redeem humanity, He sent Jesus into a humble household. God does not look for convenience. He looks for capacity. And capacity is often hidden inside the one who feels out of place. Let me tell you something. The one who feels like the black sheep is often the golden vessel. The one who feels misunderstood is often the one carrying revelation. The one who faces the most opposition is often the one anointed for disruption. You were not born to blend in. You were born to break patterns. Some of you have asked God, why is my life harder than my siblings? Why do I face more resistance? Why do I feel like I don't belong? Listen to me. When a doctor performs surgery, he does not operate on healthy tissue. He operates where there is infection. When God wants healing in a family, He will anoint someone to confront what others ignore. You are not cursed because you struggle. You are called because you care. There is something inside you that refuses to accept the dysfunction that everyone else has normalized. You cannot celebrate what you know is wrong. You cannot keep quiet when your spirit is disturbed. And they say you are too sensitive. They say you are too spiritual. They say you are too ambitious. They say you are too different. But what they call too much is actually divine design. If you were like everyone else, nothing would change. If you were comfortable, cycles would continue. If you were silent, chains would remain. God does not choose someone because life will be easy. He chooses someone because transformation requires courage. Look at your life. Were you not the one who had to grow up faster? Were you not the one who carried responsibilities early? Were you not the one who had to understand pain before joy? Pain is not proof of rejection. Sometimes pain is preparation. The weight you carry is not punishment, it is training. If you are the chosen one in your family, it means you will see what others cannot see. You will feel what others cannot feel. And because of that, you will suffer what others cannot understand. But suffering is not your destination. It is your refining process. Gold does not complain about fire. It understands that fire reveals value. You were not born to repeat the mistakes of your lineage. You were born to interrupt them. Some families pass down poverty. Some pass down anger. Some pass down addiction. Some pass down fear. Some pass down silence. But when God chooses one person, He inserts a new inheritance into an old system. You are that insertion. The reason you feel restless is because you are carrying vision. The reason you feel pressure is because you are carrying potential. The reason you feel alone is because pioneers walk where crowds cannot. Many times, the chosen one feels isolated, not because they are unloved, but because they are misunderstood. There is a difference. Do not mistake isolation for abandonment. Even Jesus was misunderstood in His own hometown. They saw Him as ordinary because familiarity blinds revelation. When people have watched you grow, they may struggle to see the oil on your head. But heaven sees, and that is enough. Listen carefully. Being chosen in your family does not mean you are better. It means you are responsible. Responsibility is heavy. That is why not everyone carries it. You are responsible for your healing. You are responsible for your mindset. You are responsible for your obedience. You cannot control others, but you can control your response. If you are chosen, then your reaction must be different. When they shout, you respond with wisdom. When they accuse, you respond with restraint. When they doubt, you respond with diligence. Because the chosen one cannot afford to react like everyone else. Your standard is higher. Some of you are tired. You say, why must I always be the mature one? Why must I always forgive first? Why must I always understand? Because leadership begins at home. Before God lifts someone publicly, He tests them privately. Before promotion, there is preparation. Before influence, there is endurance. The battles you fight in your house are shaping the authority you will carry outside. Do not despise small beginnings. Sometimes you think your calling is only about preaching or business or success. But your first ministry is character. Can you stay pure in a polluted environment? Can you stay hopeful in a negative atmosphere? Can you stay disciplined in a chaotic system? That is calling. Many people want platforms. Few accept process. If God chose you in your family, He is shaping you through friction. Friction produces strength. Look at an eagle. It does not learn to fly in comfort. It learns in turbulence. If your life has felt turbulent, maybe it is because you were built for altitude. The chosen one will often experience rejection, but rejection is redirection. When people push you away, sometimes it is because your destiny does not match their comfort zone. Do not fight to fit into places where your spirit feels small. You were not created to shrink so others feel secure. You were created to rise, and rising sometimes exposes insecurity around you. But listen carefully. Do not let pride enter your heart. Being chosen does not mean you boast. It means you bow deeper. Humility protects anointing. If you are truly called in your family, then your love must be greater than your frustration. Your compassion must be greater than your anger. Your patience must be greater than your disappointment. Because the same family that challenges you is the same family God wants to bless through you. You are the bridge, and bridges are stepped on. Yet without bridges, there is no connection. Do not resent the weight of being a bridge. Embrace it. Every time you choose wisdom over revenge, you are breaking a cycle. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you are rewriting a story. Every time you choose faith over fear, you are shifting a generation. You may not see immediate results. Seeds do not shout when they grow, but growth is happening underground. Stay faithful. Do not measure your impact only by applause. Measure it by peace. If your obedience brings peace to your spirit, continue. Many chosen ones almost quit because they expected recognition. But recognition is not proof of purpose. Some of the greatest transformations happen silently. You may be the first to graduate, the first to start a business, the first to pray seriously, the first to seek counseling, the first to say, "This ends with me." That sentence alone is powerful. This ends with me. Addiction ends with me. Violence ends with me. Poverty mindset ends with me. Bitterness ends with me. When you declare that, heaven responds. But do not think it will be easy. The moment you decide to end a cycle, resistance increases. Why? Because change threatens comfort. When you grow, you remind others that growth is possible. And not everyone wants that reminder. But stay focused. Your assignment is not to force others to change. Your assignment is to obey. Obedience is louder than argument. Live in such a way that your transformation becomes undeniable. One day they will say, "How did this happen?" And the answer will be simple surrender. When God chooses someone in a family, He is not only thinking about today, He is thinking about generations unborn. Your obedience today becomes someone else's freedom tomorrow. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of your decisions. The way you handle money, the way you handle conflict, the way you handle relationships, the way you handle faith. Children are watching, siblings are observing, parents are learning, even if they never admit it. Let your life preach. There is something powerful about consistency. You do not need to shout about your calling. Live it. Some of you have been praying, Lord, use me. Be careful with that prayer, because when God uses someone in a family, He often uses them as light in darkness. Light attracts attention, but light also attracts resistance. Still, light does not apologize for shining. Do not dim your values to make others comfortable. Stand firm, but stand with love. Strength without love becomes pride. Love without strength becomes weakness. Balance is maturity, and maturity is evidence of calling. You are not in your family by mistake. The culture, the challenges, the dynamics, they are part of your training ground. If you can love there, you can love anywhere. If you can grow there, you can grow anywhere. If you can forgive there, you can forgive anywhere. Your home was your first classroom. Some lessons were painful. Some lessons were confusing. But all lessons were useful. Nothing is wasted in the hands of God. Even betrayal becomes wisdom. Even disappointment becomes discernment. Even loneliness becomes intimacy with God. When people misunderstand you, run to God, not away from Him. Your identity must be rooted in heaven, not in human approval. If you depend on family validation to know your worth, you will struggle. Know who you are in God. When you know, you will not beg for acceptance. You will serve without insecurity. You will give without resentment. You will lead without fear. Tonight, understand this. Being chosen in your family is not about superiority. It is about sacrifice. You sacrifice comfort. You sacrifice ego. You sacrifice shortcuts. But in return, you gain impact. You gain legacy. You gain alignment with divine purpose. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that the tears were watering something bigger than you imagined. Stand up in your spirit. Accept the calling. Stop complaining about being different. Difference is destiny. Stop resenting the weight. Weight builds strength. Stop asking, why me? Start declaring, use me. Because when you shift from questioning to surrender, power flows. May your heart remain soft. May your mind remain disciplined. May your spirit remain sensitive. And may you never forget that you were chosen not to condemn your family, but to uplift it. You are a seed of change. You are a carrier of healing. You are a breaker of chains. Walk in it. Live it. And let your life become the answer to prayers your ancestors never knew how to pray. God bless you. Listen carefully, because this is not a small message. This is not something you hear and clap for. This is something you hear and wrestle with. This is something that will look at you the way you have been looking at your family for years. Chosen to heal what others learned to tolerate. There are things in families that become normal over time. Raised voices become, that's just how we talk. Emotional distance becomes, that's just how we are. Secrets become, we don't discuss that. Pain becomes, be strong. Trauma becomes, move on. And slowly, what was once shocking becomes standard. What was once unacceptable becomes tradition. What once caused tears becomes routine. And then you arrive, and you cannot tolerate what everyone else has adjusted to. You walk into the same room they have lived in for years, but something in your spirit reacts differently. You feel the tension they ignore. You notice the patterns they excuse. You question the behaviors they defend. You sense the brokenness they renamed normal. And because you react, they say you are dramatic. Because you question, they say you are rebellious. Because you refuse, they say you are disrespectful. But what they call rebellion is revelation. There is a reason your heart aches where theirs adapted. There is a reason your spirit feels heavy where theirs became numb. Tolerance can be survival, but healing requires confrontation. And not everyone is built for confrontation. Some people learn to survive dysfunction. Others are anointed to dismantle it. When you are chosen to heal what others learn to tolerate, you will feel like the odd one. Not because you are wrong, but because you are awake. Awakening is uncomfortable in environments built on denial. Imagine a room that has been dark for years. People have memorized the layout. They know where the furniture is. They know how to walk without stumbling because they have adjusted to the darkness. Then someone turns on the light. Suddenly, dust is visible, cracks are visible, disorder is visible. The light is not the problem. It simply exposes what was hidden. When you speak truth, you are turning on light. And people who adjusted to darkness may resist you, not because they hate you, but because exposure demands responsibility. Healing is disruptive. It challenges patterns that provided comfort, even if that comfort was unhealthy. It challenges roles that people grew used to playing. In many families, there is a peacemaker, a scapegoat, a silent sufferer, a controller, a provider, a comedian. Roles become identity. Identity becomes defense. Defense becomes culture. But you look at the culture and you say, this is not right. You look at generational anger and you say, this must end. You look at emotional absence and you say, this must change. You look at financial chaos and you say, this can be different. You look at silence around pain and you say, we must speak. And the moment you say that, resistance begins. Because when one person heals, it confronts everyone else's wounds. Understand this clearly: when you are chosen to heal what others learned to tolerate, you are not just fighting behavior, you are confronting history. You are facing wounds that started before you were born. You are standing against habits shaped by grandparents, great-grandparents, trauma, poverty, war, rejection, betrayal. You are not just dealing with one argument. You are interrupting a lineage. An interruption is never quiet. You may ask yourself, why does this weigh so heavily on me? Why am I the one who feels responsible? Why am I the one who cannot look away? Because healing requires sensitivity. And sensitivity is not weakness. It is awareness. You feel deeply because you are meant to respond deeply. Some people adapt by shutting down their emotions. You are wired to feel them. That is not accidental. That is assignment. When you are chosen to heal, you will often feel misunderstood. You will be told you are overreacting. You will be told you are making things bigger than they are. You will be told to let it go. You will be told that this is how it has always been. But longevity does not equal legitimacy. Just because something has been happening for decades does not mean it is healthy. You are not called to respect dysfunction just because it is old. You are called to confront it with wisdom. And confrontation does not always mean shouting. Sometimes it means boundaries. Sometimes it means therapy. Sometimes it means education. Sometimes it means silence instead of retaliation. Sometimes it means refusing to continue a toxic conversation. Sometimes it means choosing peace over pride. Healing is not loud. It is consistent. You will have to heal yourself first. This is where many fail. They want to fix everyone else, but ignore their own wounds. But you cannot lead others into wholeness if you are bleeding internally. You must examine your own triggers. You must identify your own patterns. You must unlearn what you absorbed as a child. You may have learned that love equals control. You may have learned that anger equals authority. You may have learned that silence equals strength. You may have learned that sacrifice equals identity. But healing requires unlearning. When you begin to heal yourself, you will notice something powerful. You will respond differently. Where you once exploded, you will pause. Where you once shut down, you will speak calmly. Where you once sought approval, you will choose alignment. And that difference will confuse people. They were used to your old reactions. Your new stability feels unfamiliar. Do not go back to your old self to make others comfortable. Growth will stretch relationships. Some will grow with you. Some will resist. Some will distance themselves. Some will quietly observe. But your assignment is not to control their response. It is to maintain your transformation. When you heal what others tolerated, you are creating a new standard. And new standards require repetition before they become culture. You may be the first in your family to apologize sincerely. That apology may feel small, but it plants a seed. You may be the first to talk about mental health. That conversation may feel awkward, but it opens a door. You may be the first to manage money wisely. That discipline may feel lonely, but it changes trajectory. You may be the first to seek counseling, to read books, to pray intentionally, to confront trauma. Each action is a stone placed on a new path. You are building a road others may walk on later. Do not expect immediate applause. Pioneers rarely receive recognition from those benefiting from their courage. They are often labeled difficult before they are called visionary. But remember, this tolerance preserves cycles. Healing breaks them. Tolerance says, that's just how we are. Healing says, that's not who we must remain. Tolerance protects comfort. Healing pursues freedom. Tolerance avoids conflict. Healing walks through it. If you are chosen to heal, you will face inner conflict too. There will be days you want to ignore what you see. Days you want to blend in. Days you want to pretend nothing is wrong. Because awareness is heavy, knowledge is responsibility. And responsibility is exhausting. But ignoring your calling will exhaust you more. When you suppress your awareness, you betray yourself. And self-betrayal leads to bitterness. That bitterness can turn into the very dysfunction you were meant to end. Stay alert. Healing does not mean you become superior. It means you remain humble. It means you recognize that you too are capable of repeating patterns if you are not careful. It means you stay disciplined. It means you stay accountable. You are not healing because you are better. You are healing because you are willing. Willing to face discomfort, willing to face truth, willing to face your own flaws. And as you do, something shifts quietly. The atmosphere changes, conversations change, expectations change, children observe new reactions, younger siblings see new possibilities, even elders begin to reflect. It may not happen overnight, but transformation is cumulative. You must understand that healing often looks like loss before it looks like victory. You may lose certain relationships. You may lose old identities. You may lose approval. You may lose comfort. But what you gain is clarity. You gain integrity. You gain alignment. You gain peace. Peace is expensive. It costs ego. It costs pride. It costs denial. But once you taste it, you cannot return to chaos willingly. When you are chosen to heal what others learn to tolerate, you become a mirror. And not everyone likes mirrors. Mirrors reveal what makeup hides. Mirrors show what masks cover. But without mirrors, change is impossible. Do not use your awareness as a weapon. Use it as a tool. Speak with respect. Set boundaries with calmness. Choose your battles wisely. Not every issue requires confrontation. Some require modeling. Some require distance. Some require patience. Discernment is essential. Healing is not about controlling everyone. It is about stewarding yourself. You cannot force growth. You can only embody it. As you embody it, cycles weaken. Patterns lose power. The familiar script gets interrupted. And even if no one says thank you, generations will benefit from your courage. You may never fully see the impact of your obedience. But impact does not require visibility to be real. You were chosen not to criticize your family, but to elevate it. Not to shame, but to shift. Not to condemn, but to correct with compassion. Not to abandon, but to anchor new values. And anchoring takes time. Do not measure progress only by external change. Measure it by internal stability. Are you calmer? Are you clearer? Are you more disciplined? Are you more compassionate? That is progress. When storms arise, and they will, remain grounded. Remember why you started. Remember the nights you promised yourself things would be different. Remember the tears that convinced you this cycle must end. Remember the vision of a healthier future. You are not alone in this. Many are chosen in their families, scattered across cities and nations, carrying similar burdens. They too feel the weight of awareness. They too refuse to tolerate what has been normalized. They too are building new foundations quietly. It is not glamorous work. It is not celebrated work, but it is sacred work. And sacred work requires perseverance. There will be moments you doubt yourself, moments you wonder if you are exaggerating, moments you question whether you should just accept things as they are. But deep inside, something will not let you settle. That unrest is not rebellion. It is calling. You were not designed to adjust to broken systems. You were designed to restore them. Restoration does not erase history. It redeems it. It takes what was harmful and transforms its trajectory. It takes what was painful and converts it into wisdom. It takes what was chaotic and replaces it with structure. You may not fix everything. That is not your responsibility. But you can shift your portion, and that shift is enough to begin a ripple. When one person heals, the emotional climate changes. When one person stops shouting, volume decreases. When one person apologizes, pride weakens. When one person sets a boundary, respect begins to grow. When one person seeks help, stigma starts to fade. Small acts, repeated consistently, create new culture. You are not crazy for wanting better. You are not dramatic for expecting health. You are not ungrateful for challenging harmful patterns. Gratitude and growth can coexist. You can appreciate your family and still desire change. Maturity is holding both. You may love them deeply and still recognize dysfunction. You may honor their sacrifices and still confront their mistakes. You may respect their struggles and still refuse to repeat them. That balance is strength. Chosen to heal what others learn to tolerate means you carry both compassion and courage. Compassion to understand why patterns formed. Courage to ensure they do not continue. Compassion without courage becomes enabling. Courage without compassion becomes cruelty. You must hold both. And as you do, something powerful happens within you. You become emotionally free. Free from automatic reactions. Free from inherited fears. Free from silent resentment. Free from unspoken expectations. Freedom is contagious. Others may not change immediately, but they will notice your freedom. And freedom invites curiosity. One day someone may ask, how did you become this calm? How did you break this habit? How did you stop reacting this way? And in that moment, you will realize your healing was not only for you. It was preparation. Preparation to guide gently. Preparation to model stability. Preparation to demonstrate that cycles are not destiny. Destiny is not dictated by what was tolerated before you arrived. Destiny can be rewritten by what you refuse to tolerate now. You were placed in that family not by accident, but by design. Not to judge from a distance, but to transform from within. Not to escape responsibility, but to redefine it. And as long as you remain committed to growth, as long as you remain anchored in humility, as long as you refuse to compromise your values for temporary peace, as long as you continue choosing healing over hostility, as long as you keep confronting truth with love, as long as you stay disciplined in your transformation, as long as you refuse to normalize what damages the soul, as long as you remain faithful to the vision of wholeness, as long as you continue to rise above inherited limitations, as long as you guard your heart against bitterness, as long as you protect your mind from negativity, as long as you walk in integrity, even when misunderstood, as long as you choose wisdom over impulse, as long as you remain patient with the process, as long as you keep believing that change is possible, as long as you stand firm in your commitment to break cycles, as long as you embrace the responsibility that awareness brings, as long as you accept that healing is a journey and not a moment, as long as you stay consistent when others fluctuate, as long as you anchor yourself in truth rather than tradition, as long as you continue becoming the example you once needed